Hello and welcome to a video tutorial for Taz McCarthy, this time on using Excel to make databases with specific functions and formulas. We've set up a basic database here. On this main page we've set it up like an invoice. So we're going to have a section at the top where we load up a customer and it brings up their name, address and phone, a section down the bottom where we put in a code and it's going to look up the item, the price, they put in the quantity, it'll calculate the total, tell us if it's in stock, add all the prices together, and the information it's going to get those from is on these other tabs here. So we have one here called customers, and it's got an ID for each one, which is the primary key, first name, last name, year, gender, addresses, phone numbers, all made up. Okay, then we have another sheet called dogs, where we have a code for each dog, another primary key, and then we have a description, a price, and how many we have in stock. So let's get started here. First thing we need to do is to enable this for VLOOKUPs, and to do that we need to name a range, several ranges in this case. So what you want to do is drag around all of our customers, not including the headings, they're just there for us, and then type in up here customers, hit enter, and you can see I can get back to that customers, or if I happen to select it exactly it will come up as customers again. I'm going to do a second one here which is for later on. I'm going to call it cust ID, and that's just the 1 to 15. Going to repeat this for the dogs. So one called dogs, another one called dog ID, and we're ready to go. Okay, what we want to happen is for us to be able to put in a customer ID, so they went from 1 to 15, and then for it to look up the rest for us. So for now let's just set up a test one, customer number 1, and now we're going to use the VLOOKUP function. So basically VLOOKUP is used to look up some information. In this case it's going to be whatever's typed in C10, and to look up a named range somewhere else, even on another sheet, and to bring back some information. So things we need to know are what we're searching for, and that is what's in C10, where we're searching for it, and that is in our named range customers, and then the last thing we need to know is what column to return. So for this first one it's going to be name. So if we come back to our customers, name is in, we'll do the first name is in column 1, 2, this one here. So every formula starts with an equal sign, and we can click on the one we're looking up in just a moment. So a VLOOKUP, and it gives us hints the whole time. So lookup value is what we're searching for, and that is whatever is typed here. So we click on this and it inserts C10. Comma, the table array, where we're looking up. We're looking up inside, I think we called it customers, and we wanted column 2 back, and then the last thing to do is to do a false, which make sure it does an exact match. Enter. And now you can see when we have customer number 1, it looks up customers and tells us their name is Professor. If I change this now to customer number 4, it comes up with Melissa, because that's who customer number 4 was. We can repeat the same thing for the address. So the address is in number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's the only thing that will change. So equals VLOOKUP, and we're looking up this value from customers, and we want back column 5, and we type false. Close the bracket, enter. Oops, sorry, must have been 6. And it brings back the address. Once you've set up one of these, you can actually copy and paste and just change the column that you need, and it's loaded the phone number. So now I can change this to any of the other ones and it will load the information. What we're going to do is the same thing down here for the dogs. So let's type in a code. Lab was one of them. Apparently I've already got this already set up, so I'll delete it for now. Okay, so in dogs we want to look up the name first, so that's column number 2, and then the last thing we're going to look up is column 3, the price. So exactly the same formula, equals VLOOKUP. We're looking up whatever's there. We're looking it up in dogs. We want back column number 2, and we want an exact match. Enter. Next one, price, equals VLOOKUP. We're looking up whatever's typed in there from dogs. We want back column 3 this time, and we still want it to be an exact match. Excellent. Okay, the quantity is something the customer will put in themselves, which gives us the capability to do the total now. So all the total is going to be is the price times the quantity. So we, like any formula, equals 500, and then we do an asterisk, which is times in any programming language, Shift 8, times that, enter, and we have our price. So we can change how many we want, we can change the code, and everything will update for us automatically. Other things that we want to do is for it to add up all of our totals, and we use another formula for this. We go equals, and we use the sum formula, SUM, open a bracket, we click on the top one, we do a colon, we click on the bottom one, we close the bracket, and we hit enter. Which means now if I manually put in a price, it's going to add it up for me. Just delete some of the old formulas here. Okay, next thing, GST, another simple formula. We want to work out 10% of that. 10% as a decimal is 0.1. So we'll type equals 0.1 times Shift 8, whatever is in there. Enter. And it tells us $300. Last one, we want it to add these two together. That's our easiest one yet. Equals that plus that. Enter. Beautiful. Okay, the next thing we're going to add is some data validation. So instead of having to know all of the codes for here, we're going to put in a simple drop down. So that's why we made our second named range before in the dogs called dog ID. So we'll come back to the order form and we'll tell it that we want this. So we'll go to data and then we'll go to data validation. On a Mac it just says validate. We click on that and we tell it we want a list, and the source of this list is equals dog ID. We hit enter. Okay, now it loads all of our dogs every time we go to it, and we no longer have to remember the code. So just like that, we're going to set up the same thing for our customer. So we come back up to validation, we tell it we want a list, the source is equals cust ID, and now we have all of our customers here. A couple of other things we can do with data validation is to give us a hint. So this will come up near the field when the drop down box is active. Other thing we can have is an error message, which will come up if they manually type in something they weren't meant to. Let's test that now. We see immediately as soon as we click on this, our hint comes up. Customer selection, select the ID of the customer. That still works the same. If I was to manually type in some sort of garbage, our error comes up. Incorrect ID. Please select an ID from the options available. And it will give us a chance to pick another one. The last formula we're going to add for this video is to check the stock status. At the moment we're ordering 5 Irish setters, but if we come here we'll see that we only have 3 in stock. So what we want it to do is to tell the customer that we can't actually fill that order. So depending on what quantity they put in for the given dog, we want it to either say in stock or out of stock. And to do this we're going to use an if statement. Any formula starts with an equal sign and then if, open the bracket. From here we're going to get our help. So the logical test is what we're checking to see if it's true or false. So basically what we want to check is if the quantity is higher than the amount we have in stock. So the quantity is simply whatever is typed in there, and we tell it if it's greater than the amount of stock. And to do the stock we need to do another VLOOKUP. So VLOOKUP the code from dogs, and our last one was column 4. Have to go back from here and delete that. It's trying to help, but it's not actually being useful in this case. Close the VLOOKUP, and now we have a comma. So if this is true, if they've asked for more than what we have is available, then we're going to get it to print, which we must quote, out of stock, and then another comma. You can tell us, our highlighting tells us if that's false. So if they haven't ordered more than what we have, we'll get it to print in stock. Close the final bracket. They should always add up. So one opening here closes there, another opening here closes there. Hit enter and it tells us out of stock. So if I reduce this to 1, it tells us it's in stock right up until 3 in stock, and then 4 should put us over out of stock.